Hi, my name is Alessandro Gangelosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cgcookie.com for Max Cookie. Today we'll work to create a natural environment, really a little natural environment with flowers, grass and trees, but everything is done using the scattering. And to do the scattering this time we use particle flow, controlling in a more complex way the scattering. So this scene is really simple. As you see there, we have some different detail of a particle system. So if I set to off the particle system, everything will disappear. Let's say to use maybe just 10% particles. You see that it is recalculating, and now it is done. So in this case, you can see that if we go in the perspective, that's our scene, a simple plane, and then we have some different tools, and let's remove the grass, for example. That's the more heavy setup. Then we can say again to the particle system to have 100% visualization, and you see that then we have some rocks, and we have also some texture to control the rock presence, some trees, and some flowers. And everything is done procedurally using just particle flow. The plants are picked inside the Seek website on Autodesk. So you can pick all the stuff you like, and if you like, you can create custom maps to control the position and presence of the various plants and objects. In a more complex way, using the data operator, for example, you can control also the rotation or scaling over every single mesh you are copying. But let's start to create the setup and to see how it works. So let's start preparing our scene. The first thing we need is a plane, and this plane will be our terrain. So let's go to customize and unit setup, and we'll work in centimeters, and let's make maybe something around 8 meters by 8 meters. So obviously we need more segments. Let's go for maybe 100 and 100 because I like to have a really cubey model with a really smooth surface. We can go inside the configure, and I remove the display selected with edge faces just to have a cleaner visualization. Okay, this one will be the terrain. Then to make the terrain we need a noise modifier. That is the simplest way to obtain a terrain, and we can start using the z-axis to change the shape. If you like, you can have also the fractal, and then you can scale, for example, the parameter there to have a different result. So then we can have another noise, and let's add more detail, and you see that with this one we have no fractal, but it can give us some slope and some higher part over the terrain. So let's say that this one is our terrain. Now we need to scatter various stuff. There are different ways to create the stuff we need. For example, we can add some rocks, we can add grass, we can add some trees and something like that. We are talking about 8 meters, so we have not so much stuff inside. And we have different custom version of plugin that can scatter as multi-scatter or something like that. But we can have also other way to do it inside 3ds Max. We have the scatter tool, but it is not the best way in this version because I like to control the scattering position of various mesh using a texture, And you know, with this texture, if you like to create something really complex, you can control also, for example, the scaling, the rotation of the plants, and all the other stuff. And this one can be done, for example, using the data operator inside the box number 3 or inside 3ds Max 2014. So we can start creating some simple rock. And to create some rocks, we can, for example, use a sphere. And this one can have, for example, let's say that we have a noise, or maybe let's go in the isolation and we can work directly on this one. Let's see the edges faces, and then we can convert to editable poly, and we can use the freeform modeling just to have something different done using the poly sculpting. So you see, I'm just making something like that, nothing so complex. We have just to give the basic shape to this rock. So you see, I'm doing something really simple. Let's do something like that there. Okay, let's say that the basic version is done. Maybe from the top view we can do something. So you see, we are creating some more noisy version of the sphere, and this can be a rock, for example. And then we can copy this one using the shift key, and we can have something completely different. And this one can be, for example, more little, and the shape can be different. So you see, we are giving a different shape to this rock, and we can change also from the other point of view. So let's go for something like that. Okay, then let's do something different too, and let's go to change the shape for this one. I'm not trying to do something really complex, because you know, you can model something more interesting using other modeling tool. So I'm just trying to make some simple stuff. So that's a really little teeny rock. Okay, so this one is the rock 01. That's the rock 02, and this one is the rock 03. Let's go to see the rocks on the left view, and we change the pivot to have the pivot at the base or near the base. Okay, nice. Let's close there. Okay, so now we have the rocks. We can have back also our plane, and we need some plants. You know, we have nothing so nice inside 3ds Max, but there are some plants you can download freely. And for example, if you have any plants, you can use it, or maybe you can go at this website, seek.autodesk.com, and there you can download free plants. And for example, you can go there inside the trees model, and you see that we have some library, so you can decide which kind of plant you are trying to find, and then you can use it. So for example, we can download more flowers or something like that, and we can use it there. Or you can use also some trees, and then we can create also something related to the grass. So we have some plant, and you can download it freely from this website, and then we can use it inside our scene. And to do something like that, we can, for example, start merging some plants. So let's say that we use a merge, and we go inside the right folder where we have all the plants we downloaded, and you see that we have some plants or some trees also, and we start with the flowers. So for example, we can merge this one, maybe the number 1 and the number 3, but you can use the plant you like to use, it's not a problem. So let's move this one there, and then let's merge the other one, the number 3. Let's redo it. Okay, as the same name, so it's just a resolution. So let's go to merge the other version. So merge, and let's go for this one, and let's move it. Okay, so we have 2 flowers, we have some rocks, and we can have maybe 2 trees. So let's go, for example, for this one, but again, you can use whatever else, and import, merge again. Let's see, some more stuff we can have inside our scene. Let's go for something different, maybe this one. Okay, I don't like to have too much trees. Okay, so we have all the necessary stuff. We have for sure to check the material. So let's go to create something really simple. That's the first one. And let's go for the other one too. We'll go to have something just with a color, nothing so complex. So let's go inside the maps for 3ds Max, and I say let's go for just a color, actually, because I have no texture, and that's not the main purpose for this tutorial. So let's go for a brown color, maybe without the red, just a really dark brown, and we'll have a really low level for the specularity. And that will be darker. Let's go with this one, maybe just with a blend. So you see we have the right color there, and actually we can copy the same. And let's do the same for the other material. And then we can do the same for this one too. Okay. And then let's use maybe just a green color, but please remember that you can use your own custom texture, it's not a problem. And let's go for a green color. Okay. And we can copy the same there, and there, and there too. So we have just something really simple. We can do the same for this one. So let's go to copy this one there as paste, and we can have the same there. And then let's go to have the green one over the leaf. and then let's go to have the same material over the other stuff. So something really simple. Then we have there the flowers. So on this lot we can copy this one. We have a lot of material there. We should have over the petal. Let's go for red color, and we have no opacity map, so it will be a standard material and standard color. And the other material should be something like green color, so maybe let's use the red over this one and the red over this one, and all the other stuffs can be green. So copy, and let's do something really simple. Okay, and let's do the same for the other one. Let's say that we have a different color for the petal, so we copy this one as paste, and there we change to something like a different color, maybe something like that. Okay, and then copy this one, and let's see if we need it. Okay, no. So the other color can be again a green color. I'm not making an instance because maybe you can need to change it. So okay, so we can have also the material for the rock. Let's call it rock, and we can pick the color, the rock, and assign this one, and this one can have, let's say, a bitmap. Let's see if we have something that can be used just over the basic texture for 3ds Max. Okay, you see, that's enough. Nothing so complex. Just a little bit of specularity, and we can copy this one to control the specularity, and maybe we can use over the bump too, but over the bump we'll use a higher value for the blurring. Okay, save. So we can start to use all the stuff over the terrain. We need just maybe a material for the terrain. So this one is the terrain, and we can assign, and then we can go to have, let's say, a substance material, lot substance textures, and we should have something for the dry ground. Let's see if this one is nice. Let's go for the other one, the dry ground number 2. Okay, let's go for this one. Let's use a tiling, so 2 and 2, and the texture size is higher. Let's say absolute 2 key by 2 key. Okay, then let's go in the map. We can copy this one as a specularity map. So there we have to say that's the specular. Then we use the same for the bump, and there we say that this one is the bump, and maybe we can use an higher bump label. And for the specularity we can stay with something like that. Okay, we have a simple terrain, and we have also the other stuff inside the scene. So save. So we are ready to start scattering. So let's start scattering, for example, the rocks. We go to use particle flow, and this one will be PFs for the rock, let's open the particle view. The particle setup is really simple, so we need just to decide that we need a position object instead of the position icon, and let's select the plane. There we can say to use the geometry. All the particles must stay on the ground at 0, so you see that we have all these boxes all around. Actually the particles are moving, so we have to delay it with our right mouse button the speed, and actually we have this kind of rotation, so we can remove also the rotation. So we have these boxes there. First of all, we have to say that we have to use the rock. So something that can be done is to select the rock, all the rocks, and we can say to make a group, we can call it rocks. Okay, then we can go there and use the shape instance instead of the shape cube. There we can say to use as particle geometry the rocks, and you see that we have the rocks all around. We can say to use the group members, and we can change the scaling so it will be more little. Let's say that we see 100% of the particles inside the viewport, because we need to see all the particles, not just as some sample. And then let's go back there. We can have some variation in the scaling, so you see we have some more little rocks, some bigger rocks. We have the acquire mapping, acquire material, and we say multi-shape random order, so all the stuff are in a random way over the terrain. But you see we have a main problem, and I mean we have all the rocks put in a strange way over the surface. So to make something more realistic, we can use the tricks, and I mean we can say to use the speed of the surface. So the particles will use a speed by surface. The surface will be the terrain. So now if we go to C, you see that the particles are going away, so all the rocks are going away. And we are using the surface normal. We can say to use, for example, the parallel to surface. So in this way you see that the speed is to move all the particles away using the actor surface. The speed is set at the first frame, just the first frame, and then we have no control over the speed because we don't need animation. Then we can use again a rotation to control the rotation, because you see that the particle's rotation is wrong. So let's go in the rotation, and you see that now we have random. We can use the speed space follow. So actually it is using the speed based on the animation, and you see that actually they are put in the right way over the surface. Main problem many is that we have still the animation, we don't need it. So for example you can go to gear there and set the speed to 0, but you see that again we have no animation, but it is wrong there. So we can, for example, use 001, and you see, sorry, you see that the particles have the right position and we have no animation, and that's a nice and good solution. Okay, something that can be done is to say that the rocks are in a different position. So let's use the material there, maybe using the specular. Let's say that we have, let's use maybe a gradient ramp. Let's get over there. Okay, let's see this map. Okay, so we can decide that we have more rocks in one area and less on the other area. So let's use maybe the specularity instead. We can use the opacity. we can go back to the particle system. And inside the position there, we can tune how the particles are set over the surface. So you see that there we have the density. The density can be the grayscale, and you see that it is putting more particles there and less particles there. If we go to change the material, let's go inside this map. We have the possibility, let's say that we have, for example, more rocks over there, and maybe we have less on this area, so we can go to have a black, so we have no rocks there. And then let's say that we have also a noise, so it is not a regular way how the particles are put over the terrain. Then obviously we have to go there, and something that can be done is to say to delete the particles if the position is invalid. So you see we have more rocks there and less rocks there, and everything is controlled by the texture. Back there, we can say that we have still no opacity, and back again there, just one is visible, and that's nice. You see that it is working nice. Okay, let's remove the acceleration. So then we can put also the trees. We have not so big space over there, so we can do something simple. Let's create maybe an event similar. So right mouse button, copy and paste. We can connect. Now we have the same particles. We can remove the density. We can control later how we can use it. We have the same surface. We have to change the shape, so we can select both. This one is a new group, and we can call it trees. Back in the particle system, we say to use the trees. Okay, we have a lot of trees actually, you see, obviously, and we say to use maybe just 8 trees, maybe 15 trees. In this case, we need something else for the rotation, because obviously the trees in this scale will not be rotated in this way. So something that can be done is to say that we have maybe the scaling can be maybe 70%, sorry, and we have a scale of 20%, and maybe we need to have less trees because we have a really little area. Okay, let's go to control. So this group can stay over a layer. So let's create this one, and this one is trees and height. Then we can have this one rocks, and that's set to height. Okay, so back in the particle system we need a different rotation, so let's go inside the rotation. In this way you see that the trees are just planted over the terrain, and that's maybe enough. And let's say that that's enough for the moment. Now we need to have, for example, the flowers. And to have the flowers, we can do the same. So let's pick this one and this one. This group is flowers, and we can copy this one and paste, and you can call, for example, this one, rename, we have rocks, rename, that's trees. Then we can connect, and this one, rename, is flowers. Let's go to work on the flowers. So we have the shape and we work with the flowers. And let's go to say that we have maybe 50 particles. So you see we have a lot of particles all around there. Let's create a new layer, flowers, and hide also this one. So I think we can have more. So let's say maybe 200. So we have a lot of flowers on the ground, and I think we can save. Okay, so we can decide where we have the flowers. So to control the flowers, we can, for example, have another map. And let's go in the particle system to see what we can do with the density. So position, actually we have no density, and the first one instead has the density. So something that can be done is to use this one. Let's go back and let's say that this one is set to usable, and we can do something like having a clone, and this one is terrain render. So let's copy. This one is terrain render. So this one has no opacity, and that's the renderable. We have the other one, that's the terrain, and that's the emitter, and it's not renderable and display as boxes. Okay, let's go back in the particle system. Okay, so now it's using again the maps. So if we go to see there, we have as option, we have density by material, and we have the grayscale, the opacity, grayscale and opacity, and the red. For example, we can do something. We can, you see now we have the flowers just using the other maps, but we can have a complete control just using another emitter. So let's copy the terrain, let's say clone, and this one is flowers. Obviously you can do it in different way, but that's just to have a control for every single one. And let's select terrain, flowers, and the particles. So that's terrain flowers. Let's see if it is renderable. Okay, and this one has a different map. So this one is terrain flowers. We can assign it, we can go in the opacity and show the map. Okay, we can remove this one, and we go for let's say a noise. So discard all map, and let's go to change how the maps look. To have a cleaner visualization, we can pick the particles and set to off the trees and the rocks. So we can see the map. Let's go to have a turbulence. So you see we have just some area, and we can go to specify just some area where we have flowers. Let's say that the complexity is 7. So you see we have just this area with the flowers. Then we can go back to the particles, and inside the position there we can say again delete particles if it is not the right position. Obviously it is a little bit different from the map because it is using first of all we have also to change the emitter. So inside the position there we have remove, and by list we have terrain flowers. Okay. Inside there we have the grayscale and delete if particles are wrong. Obviously the visualization is different because the visualization of the maps inside 3ds Max is different than what we see inside the viewport. So pay no attention to this one. You should render the map to be sure that you have the right visualization. So just a little variation on the scaling, and then that's all. So we can pick again the terrain flowers, object properties, display as boxes, and exit. Then we can have back the trees and back the rocks, and we can save. So let's go to see from a different point of view, and you see that we are controlling the flower presence and the rocks using custom maps. Now if we like, we can add the grass. So then we can use some way to create the scattering of the grass. First of all, we have to model the grass, and let's say first of all to speed up the visualization that the particles are set to off. Okay, let's model some really simple grass, and we can use, for example, a plane, and we'll have just the detail we need, because we'll use a lot of grass, so we need to stay with a really low amount of polygons. Let's move to the ground there, and let's call it grass filament. And then we can use different copies. Maybe we can have just a little bit of shell, but something really low. And then we can use the FFD to change the shape, so we can pick those points, and those points are just like that, and this one is just like that, and let's see no other shape. And then we can use the band, sorry, and the band can have let's use this axis and let's rotate. Okay, let's make another copy, and this one, oh sorry, I have to check the shape. Okay, it's right. Let's say with this level, maybe we can decide to have a turbo smooth just one level, but let's see the edges faces. Okay, maybe not, because I don't like to have too much complex thing. Okay, that's the first one. We can say that we have maybe another shape, so let's copy, and this one has maybe a different version, and it has maybe more little, or maybe we can just use the FFD, so we can pick the points and we can go lower. and in this way we have a different version. We can do the same with another one. This one can have an higher bend level, and this one can be more little, so go lower and lower. And then maybe we can have another copy that will have less bend effect, but maybe we can just copy the first one. So that's this one, we have less bend. Let's set to off, and we use again this way to scale it up and bend. We can pick everything and right mouse button, convert to editable poly. The stuff we can have, let's call it grass, and both have this material, and this material is just a green color, something like that. And we can have a clear version of the green, just to have a little bit of specularity. Obviously, you see, we are using really simple material, so take care about shaders if you like to have it. Let's make a group, and we call it grass. Out of the visualization there, we can move this one there, and we can go back there, set to off all the other tools. Let's say that we use the flowers, so copy and then paste, and then we can connect. This version obviously of our setup is really simple, and this one is called with a rename grass. Set to on, and we can call it this one PFlow scatter. And let's go to work just on this one, on the grass. This one is set to on. We have again the flowers, but we have to say to use this one, the grass. And first of all, we have to scale everything to a really lower value. And then if we like to fix the rotation, as you see, we can work on the model, or we can just doing something inside the particle flow. So this one, you see, it's just to follow the terrain, but there we can say to use a 90 degree over this axis, and you see that now we have the right rotation. And if we go to say that we have 2000, obviously it takes a little bit of time, and we have to fix some stuff. The rotation can be also random over the one axis, so we can make a change. So first of all, there we don't need to have the density, so we like to have the particles all around. And let's set to off just for a moment, and then there let's open the group. The first one we can scale it, same for the others because the base is too big. Okay, and maybe just to have something different, we can rotate everyone in a different way, and group, close, back there to the particles. It's set to on, it is generating. Okay, back to the particles, and in this case, you know, we need a lot of particles. So let's save and let's see what happens if we have, for example, 15,000. And as you can see, it is starting to have something, but obviously we need a lot more. So we can put another layer, and this one is grass, and set to off and close. So I think we can try to have something around 50,000 to see if it is enough. So that's the actual version. Obviously, you know, we can need more particles to have something more realistic, but we can see some tests. Then we have the rocks too. Okay, and we have the terrain. You see that we created something simple but not bad. And let's save. And we can start tuning the rendering. We can do something with mental array. So let's pick maybe the particle system, and I like to set to off just the grass because it is the most expensive. Then we can use as lighting, maybe if we have, let's go for a skylight. Okay, and this one can be an HDR map if we have something for our tutorial. And we can try to use, for example, a texture coming with 3ds Max. So bitmap, let's go in the tutorial folder. And let's use this one. It's an outside map, so it can be nice to be used. And let's set as spherical map and put it there as a copy. And let's see what we have. Let's go to use mint array. We are not obviously working mainly on the rendering because it's not our main purpose, but it's nice to see what we can add. Okay, so that's the result. Obviously it is based on the quality of the map we are using, and you see we have not so nice textures over there or something like that, but you know, that's not our main purpose. If you like to set and focus on a more detailed version, for example, we can go there and we can use also a sun. So we have part of the illumination done with a HDR map. If we have a better HDR map, it's not needed. But in this case, we go to have the daylight. And we set with mental array sun. And we have no skylight because we are using the other skylight. Let's do the setup. And let's go for maybe 90. And we can try to use maybe just the trees. So let's go back in the particle flow scatter and we set to off the rocks and also the flowers. Then we go to render. Obviously, as you can see, it is completely dark because we are using the exposure control. And actually set with no preset. We can use the basic default, or if you like you can tune it a little bit. And a really fast way is to use a really huge amount there to compensate the exposure control. And you see that in this way we have the right scattering done using the right map there. So if you like, you can have also something more. So 12 can be enough. So back to the particles, or we can find also a point of view. So let's go to our final resolution. Let's go for HD version. Let's see if we can do something nice. Let's create a camera. I'm just trying to find some nice rendering. And let's go to select the camera. Let's go to see the clipping plane. So let's say for 100, and maybe that's the near, so 100 600. So if you like to have zeta paths, you can use those ones. So you go there, z depth, and you can use 100 and maybe 600 to have the right paths out. We have nothing as the background. If you like, you can go just there and set just a color, maybe just to have something inside your rendering. And let's see from this point of view what we can have. So you see, that's the render and that's the Z depth, so you have complete control over the stuff you are doing. In this case, I like now to see what we have inside the rendering when we have everything. So let's go for a lower resolution. Let's try with 700. And let's go in the particle flow. And we need to see the rocks. We need to see the flowers. And we need to see the grass. It will take a little bit. Okay, that's what we see, and it seems not bad. Let's save it, and we can try to make a render to see what happened. That's the result. Obviously, the quality is poor, but you know, that's not our main purpose, and that's the depth. Something that you can done is to use some bounces inside the rendering. First of all, we can say also to the particle system to use just maybe 10% particles there inside the viewport when you need it. And if you like, you can do something like, something like that with obviously a better quality, and then you can use, for example, 2 bounciness to have a better and realistic lighting. And that's our main purpose. So we have the right setup done using particle flow. You know, using the data operator and some more tools, you can create something more complex, but we can see maybe something more in a coming tutorial. So for the moment, that's all, and I hope to see you back on Max Cookie to check for new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye.